Daniel Esplin, joined by two members of Dead Levee, a little bit of a Saskatchewan connection here. We have Dane, we have Tayler, or as they're affectionately known as Remington and Izzy. I love the nicknames.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It keeps us out of trouble sometimes, but it also gets us into trouble just having the names.
Well, I can imagine, like, I remember when I was a kid, we had one friend whose name was Circus Boy, and he absolutely hated it. Do you have anybody in the group that hates their nickname?
Dane, who do you think hates theirs?
Well, there's like one guy in particular that's a little like, he dislikes himself enough to want to go by his regular name, but I think the rest of us were kind of, it's just a good little character escape. You get to get in the zone for your show, and it really helps. Like a big point of having a sense of character in any performance is like to get out of yourself and into the role, because like you have a duty to perform like as an entertainer, and regardless of what's going on in your life, you got to be able to get into the zone, and it really helps a lot. Say you're having a crappy week or this or that, when it's showtime, you kind of get into that zen mode, and the character just helps you kind of set aside where you might be at, and allows you to step into this entertaining, high energy person that is really demanded of you, especially being in a high energy rock and roll band.
Now, you guys just played the Jeep Fest. I imagine you were able to get into that zen zone for your performance. Was it great to be getting back at it?
Yeah, it was amazing. We got to play with a couple acts that are pretty well famous around Canada, Dan Davidson and Econoline Crush. And those guys were really nice, and everybody at the festival was really, really kind. The attendance wasn't quite what we expected it was, but all the bands were so supportive, and with the sun beating down, and there's still being a lot of crowd interaction, it was easy to get that fire back and have it fueled.
Oh, I can imagine.
One thing we really noticed, like coming out of COVID and into performing live again, is the crowd are so excited to have live entertainment again. It's a lot easier to get them to come out of their shells and participate in the show. So that's been an absolute plus, especially at Jeep Fest.
Yeah, from the pictures you guys had at social media, it looked like people were absolutely into it. And one thing I want to ask you guys about is you mentioned kind of getting into character. I remember when I saw you guys here in Estevan a few years ago now, or a couple years ago now, you guys kind of had like a group look going on. You were rocking like some snakeskin pants and stuff like that. But from your photos, it looks like you guys have gone to just regular trousers for the most part.
Yeah, we have we still have our bell bottoms and everything like that. It's just they're not tights anymore. They're actual denim, and they're actual corduroys. And we've kind of gone away from the yoga pants and into these actual Steven Tyler-esque denim bell bottoms. You know what I mean?
Were they yoga pants at the start then?
Yeah, they were. They were tights, my friend. They were tights. It was all a gimmick.
Yeah, well, you guys do have like an aesthetic though that you really do get across. Now, when you started out, you guys were playing a lot of covers, and I believe when I saw you, like the first time I heard you guys was at one of those Mr. Mike's ball tournaments. You were right across the street from my house, and I was really blown away by the way that you guys, I can't remember, it was an Aerosmith song I believe that you had played, and I was really blown away by it. At that point, how many covers were you doing compared to original music?
Like at that point, we had just written, recorded, released, and toured our first album. So we really only had, I think, 9 or 10 original songs. And we were working on our second album, or at least what we thought was going to be our second album at the time. We never did release that. But so I mean, at that point, we were just starting off. We had 10 or so original songs, and your typical full night concert is going to be 3-4 hours, so you're looking at 15 to 20 songs an hour. So you got to fill that time, you got to fill that space with songs, and you got to win your audience. When we first started off, like you can let people know what you're all about by playing music that's influenced the group, and win over the audience by playing songs they've heard before. Because people like the repetitive nature or something they've heard before, so you can play a standard hit song that everybody knows, and they sing along, and then they might give your music a better chance. But at that point, we were playing, probably 25 cover songs to every 5 original songs, just to make it through those long days.
Now, you had mentioned the influences. How much of that DNA is actually in your music, say, like when you started to compared to now?
Yeah, like, I mean, we're definitely starting to get, like, I wasn't the original bass player. I actually started out just playing acoustic solo stuff, following these guys around, opening up for them, kind of filling in that first hour void. And eventually I got into the group. But I feel like the group was very, very outlaw rock, southern rock. And now there's a little bit more of that hard 80s, 90s, just a touch of it, just a touch of that 80s, 90s kind of vibe. You know what I mean? I think it's a good mix between, like Black Crowes, Lynyrd Skynyrd with like AC/DC and Led Zeppelin. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So with that then, with the songwriting, is that like, do you guys have a primary songwriter, or is it a collaborative effort, or is every member bringing in their own flavor, or how does that work for you guys?
We kind of have not a set in stone process, but as far as, lyrics, melody, and progression goes, myself, Taylor here, and Ray, we usually bring something to the table, whether it be a set of lyrics or chord progression or verse, or maybe a chorus idea, and the three of us will sit down and often kind of just flesh it out, take it from its rawest form, and put a little bit of our own individual flavor on some parts, and nail down a storyline and the basis of the song, and just kind of let it grow from there. But I'd say, like, Taylor, Ray, and I, we just kind of have the gift of being able to work together in that sense, and it's really nice because say I sit down and I come up with a cool line, it's like, well, what does this mean to me? What does it mean to you guys? And 3-4 days into the process, we can have the whole storyline and progressions, that flow of the song. So it's a really fun process, and it really is a collaborative. Once you get Preston and Dusick, the slide guitar and drums in there, their ideas really help fill the song out and give it definition and character. So I'd say, as a whole, it is a collaborative process.
So you mentioned you've recorded quite a bit. The one thing I was really wondering about is, you mentioned you do have a very energetic live show. How much of that are you trying to get across into the recordings, and how much was inspired from your live show, or do you guys usually write while you're recording?
It's you never know when a song is going to come to you, right? So I mean, Dane or myself or Ray could be sitting down at home, and just all of a sudden have something in our heads. We gotta put it down on paper. We gotta hit record and move on from there. Now, as for what was the question again?
Bringing the live energy of your live show into your recorded work.
So it's been hard to find a producer that can capture that live energy that we have, that live sound that we have. And through Bandwagon Workshops, who we are under management right now, they found a guy who has been doing it for years and years and years, and he's been capturing bands' live sounds. His name is Garth Richardson. He's done, Alice Cooper, Motley Crue, Nickelback, just to name a couple there. And so we finally found a producer that can capture that live sound and that live energy. And so we recorded those songs with him back in, what was that, March or April, and we're planning on releasing that near the end of the year here.
Now, with releasing some upcoming music, I wanted to ask you about your Kickstarter campaign that you did. I believe in 2020, you had an ambitious goal to raise quite a bit of money. It looks like you met it. The one thing that really caught my attention, though, was you had one donor that paid, what was it, like $1,500 or whatever, to have their lyrics used in one of your songs. Did that come to actually happen, and were the lyrics pretty decent?
So with that one, it worked out pretty good. It ended up being a good buddy of ours who was quite involved in the fundraiser itself, and he operates a music festival called Chilapa Music Festival. So his name is Brian, and he had a short-lived but fun music career prior to his festival organizing. So he's got about 2 albums worth of material that he's written himself, and basically our plan is to sit down and review all of his material that he has and compile it together into our form of one of his songs, or our form of a few of his songs together. And we're gonna, once it's written, we're gonna track it just in demo form, and then when we have the demo, we gift that to him to use for whatever purposes he would like to. And in order for us to actually get it in front of an audience and stuff, it's gotta make it through a few loops through our management, through our production team. So that's the other thing with this writing process is, there's probably 20 songs to every 5 songs that make it to the audience. There's kind of quality control crew that is gonna listen through everything that we bring forward and let us know, hey, that's going to work great, that's not going to work so good, take that back to the drawing board. So as far as releasing the song that the donor paid for, that's still up in the air. But as we say with our pal Ryan, with any luck, turns out to be a good song, it'll end up on the album. But we can't promise anything right now.
Might be the biggest hit ever. You never know.
That's right. That's right.
Now, with your songwriting over the last year, did it get a little bit of a boost? Was it harder with not being able to perform live and stay tight in that way?
No, actually, it gave us a lot of time to really fine tune our writing, and we became a lot more mature as writers throughout this pandemic, because we didn't have the for lack of a better word, distraction of playing live shows every weekend and making sure that we're all good to go for the shows on the weekend, or the tour coming up or anything like that. So it gave us a lot of time, a lot of personal time to sit down, take a breath, and just get back into that writing process that started this whole thing off, really, yeah.
Now that you guys do have some help with management and everything else, do you think this is really going to give you guys a huge boost coming up here for the next year? Like, do you have a lot of plans for the next year?
Yeah, I think this next year is going to be, by far our biggest, and we are very proactive as far as like our business planning. I mean, right from the get-go, we made a business plan kind of our first week, and most bands take 5 to 8 years to establish themselves, and so we kind of made a plan and set that in motion. But what we've always done is we make our business plans, and then we chop them in half and say, okay, so here's what we want to accomplish in 5 years. Let's do it in 2.5 years. And that's been how, we managed to fast track this group. We're just over 3 years into Dead Levee here, and we're competing on the level of most groups that have been together 6 to 8 years. And, we're starting to get established. And so, what exactly was the question again? My apologies.
What was the question now? Oh yeah, just like over the next year, you guys, I'm guessing, have some pretty big plans. Like
yeah, so 100%. Yeah, in the next year, we're gonna be, releasing a number of singles, looking towards our album. We have 3 songs tracked, and we're just waiting for funding to finish recording the rest. And with things opening up and our management connections, we really do hope to at least have a national tour, if not some touring abroad, There's opportunity in Europe and the United States, of course, for rock and roll groups, and I can't see us being any less busy. I mean, man, like, we know how to be busy, so it's both a blessing and a curse, but we know how to get her done and keep at it.
Well, yeah, you just want to keep it going. Don't let it slow down. One thing I want to ask you about, you sent a few tracks over, Make It Mine, Good Life. And the one thing I noticed with both of these songs, I'm going to get you to tell me a little bit about them in a moment, but both of them kind of have like this rock and tambourine section going on, which reminded me of like old Stones records. And I remember when they would play live, they had like this crazy guy that would play like congas and be rocking the tambourine the whole time. Are you guys going to be hiring a tambourine player in the next little bit?
Why, are you looking for a job or what?
Yeah, professional tambourine player. Yeah, maybe. But no, with those songs, give me a little bit of a backstory for each of them, starting it out with Make It Mine.
Yeah, so Make It Mine was actually very Rolling Stones inspired. The guitar player Ray comes up with his his hollow body guitar and just starts playing this open G riff. And we're like, oh yeah, this is good. This is real good. And we recorded it actually at the CBC Studio One. And we did it live, just like the Rolling Stones would have done it, right? So it was everything was live off the floor, and it was just a song that we knew just had a lot of energy, a lot of pump, and we were just excited to record it and get it out. And it's one of our favorite songs to perform live too, because there's just so much energy coming out of it.
Yeah, you could really feel it with that. And so then with Good Life, what was the impetus for that song?
Good Life was kind of came from, I believe, the riff, the original riff, the bum 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 ba bum bum bum. And Tayler, that was right when Tayler was entering the group, and he had a major influence. He's just got such good groove on the bass, and I remember Ray coming in with his guitar parts there, and the chorus just like felt so good. I see the sun and I'm on the run. And just touching on those tambo parts, like, I gotta put it, so like there's a man by the name of Chris Demas. He's from Regina, and he helped us produce and record all of our early stuff. And he's got an alter ego. He goes by the name of Tambo Steve. But just about always when a track's done, we just send him in for one last session. He's also the drummer for a band called Bleecker. He's quite an acclaimed musician. If you haven't heard of Chris Demas, I recommend you look him up. But his auxiliary percussion abilities are just out the window, and so he pulls out his little box of shakers and tambourine, locks himself in the room for 20 minutes, and then when you come back and listen to it, and the amount of life that you bring to a song with the tambourine and shakers, those auxiliary instruments really make a huge difference.
Well, and that's a good segue into the last thing I want to ask you guys about, because the big thing with what I want to do here is highlight what Saskatchewan has to offer for musical talent. And with that, since you guys are in the scene, you have an insider's look at who's all involved with it. And so I want to ask you, who is someone you would want to give a shout out to from the Saskatchewan scene, whether it's a band or it's a person that you think is just really next level?
I'll let Dane go first.
I mean, I'm just going to do a shout out to like one of my hometown boys. This kid, like, I think he's about 4 or 5 years younger than me, but he was always, right front and center through my high school years and in my first 2 years pursuing music. His name's Braden King, and he always, he kind of was just a little shit that followed me around. And then, now he's grown into a man. He's in his early 20s, and he's pursuing a solo career, and he's just written, recorded, and released one of his first singles. It's called Bad Night to Be a Beer. It came out on the 16th of July. It's a great song. This kid's got a voice like an angel. He's a very mature songwriter, a very talented guitarist, and he just knows how to make shit happen. So we've actually been bringing him along to a lot of our shows. He came to Fest with us. He did Canada Day celebration and fundraiser for Every Child Matters with us in Tequa Lake, and he's going to be coming with us to Chilapa. But definitely big shout out to Braden King. If you guys have Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, look him up. His song "Bad Next Beer" is great, and I was lucky enough to play slide guitar on that track for him, which is really exciting. I mean, all through when I started out, I wanted to be a guitar player. I still want to be a guitar player. I've always ended up being a singer and frontman because I just seem to have the balls to get up there and talk to everybody. So it just naturally fell into it. But I did have the opportunity to play slide guitar on this track, and that just made my day. So yeah, big shout out to Braden King. And if you guys have a chance, look him up and check out his new singles, Bad Next Beer.
For sure.
Definitely. And for me, I've got two. I've got one that's a little bit closer to home that have always been good friends of ours and have always supported us, and that's Small City Blues. I have nothing but love for those boys. And another band that I came across when we were playing Jeep Fest, they played the midnight hour. Like everybody had gone home. And these guys, the band name is Dirty Garden. They're from Saskatoon and Regina. And these guys just know how to play rock and roll. It was some high energy rock and roll. They even threw some AC/DC Jailbreak in there. And I was very, very impressed with how their live show was and how much energy they had for the little attendance that was there.
Well, that's pretty fantastic. Well, I appreciate that. You're letting me know about these people. I'll try to get a hold of them too. Small City Blues out of Weyburn. They are just pretty fantastic. So, yeah, definitely a great road to go down. Now, one last thing before I let you go here. Your social media is pretty impressive. I love your Instagram. You guys have all the nice stuff on there. It seems like you guys have a lot of ways for people to get a hold of you. What's the best way to keep up to date with what the band has going on?
Definitely our Facebook or our Instagram. Both are just at Dead Levee or Facebook /Dead Levee. Those are definitely the two platforms that you will be finding any bit of news that you need to know about Dead Levee on.
Perfect. Well, Dane, Taylor, I want to thank you guys. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and if anybody out there doesn't have social media, they can find us at officialdeadlevee@gmail.com. If you have an email account, it's just the word official deadlevee@gmail.com. And you can also contact us, by phone, 1-306-891-6955. I'd love to have a chat with anybody that's listening right now.
You're going to get so many used car salesmen calling you.
What did you do, Dane?
Well, I want to thank you guys both for joining me here today, Dane and Izzy, Remington and Izzy. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to rocking your guys' couple songs here on the radio for the next little while. And I look forward to when you release some new music. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thank you so much for having us, Daniel. We appreciate
Thank you, Daniel.